Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about MongoDB replication. I think this is an indispensable topic for those work with MongoDB. Whether you are a developer, a DBA, an SRE, everyone who works with this database has to know about replication. So in this video we'll delve into what is exactly replication. What kind of problem does it approach solves? What are the benefits to use this architecture? We're going to create a replica set cluster with 3 nodes. The first one will run on 27,017 as a primary, and the secondary one will be running on 18 and 19 respectively. Also, we're going to simulate some disaster occurring on our cluster to see how MongoDB deals with that, how MongoDB handles those kind of situations automatically. And finally, we're going to connect on this replica set cluster using MongoDB Compass and perform some aggregations pipeline there. Okay, so let's go to the video. Well done, guys. Let's talk a little bit about replication. Replication exists primarily to offer data redundancy and high availability. Okay, so let's delve into these two topics here. Imagine that we have a client application such as Java or Node.js, and we have just one single database, a single node. Okay, we must know here, guys, that MongoDB will always write those operations in a primary node, okay? And by default, we'll read from a primary node also, okay? But what we will have here, for example, if this primary node becomes unavailable and our application attempts to connect there and perform some insert or find, our application will fail, right? So when you think about availability, replication offers to us an approach that we will have more than one node, such like this new architecture here. We're gonna have more 2 secondaries node. Okay, so returning here for our last example, if our application attempts to write something here and this node crashes, MongoDB after 10 seconds will elect a new one automatically to be the next, the new primary. Okay, so MongoDB will say, hey guys, which one of you two will be my primary node? Okay, and after an election, for example, this node will be the primary and all those write operations will occur here. Okay, let's talk a little bit about data redundancy. Let's imagine here that we have an application to save some person in a collection. Okay, so we want to save my name on a collection. Okay, so after this data is inserted here on a primary node, MongoDB will replicate automatically those data across the other servers. Okay, so now let's imagine here that this server is in São Paulo, this one in New York, and this one, for example, in Tokyo. Okay, it means that MongoDB will create copies of those data in a physically isolated servers. Okay, so now let's imagine some scenario of disaster recovery and we need to find this information because we lost this node. We can access this information here and here, so this is another good benefit when we think about backup, for example. Okay, remember that I've told you that MongoDB always writes those operations on a primary node and by default reads those operations from a primary node also, okay? But we want to reduce the latency here on this primary node because we're receiving a lot of requests, a lot of reads, writes, okay? So in this case, MongoDB offers to us a read preference, okay? So we can tell to our application to read directly from the secondary node and distribute those requests among the others nodes. Okay, so now here we have those reads, okay, directly to the secondary nodes, and now we don't need to read from a primary node directly anymore. Okay, and this will improve our performance. Okay, so this is another good benefit. So let's go to the hands-on. So let's create our replica set cluster. But before, as you can see here, I have already MongoDB installed on my machine. Okay, and here is the folder. Before I create our instance, let's check some files here. Okay, so inside the bin folder, MongoDB has the MongoDB CFG. This is a file to configure those instances. Okay, as you can see here, this DB path indicates that all those internal files from an instance will be saved. Okay, so return to our example. We're gonna have more than one node. Okay, which in this case we're gonna have 27,017, 18, and 19. Okay, so we need to indicate which folder MongoDB will store those data. Okay, so for the first node, we're gonna create the folder 27,017. Okay, as you can see here. And let's create for the 18 and 19 also. Okay, very good. Now we have those three folders here. So for this guy, I will rename here this tab 27,017. Okay, and now it's time to initiate our instance, create our instance, and set this to run inside a replica set. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna use MongoDB. Okay, MongoDB path here. Okay, this command db path indicates exactly the folder that we've created before. Okay, so db path in this case here will be 27,017. Sorry, I need to connect inside the bin folder, and here MongoDB db path and 27,017. Okay, very good. Now we have to indicate which part this instance will run. The same part also, 27,017. And finally, the replicaset argument to indicate that this instance will run inside a replica set. Okay, so as you can see here, just type enter and our instance is running and waiting to finalize, to initiate the replica set cluster. Okay, very good. Now it's time to use the other tab here, which in this case is 27,018, and do the same thing. Okay, so now we need to initiate the other folder 27,018, and finally the replicaset, which in this case is the same name, right? Very good. I'm gonna put this guy here. We don't need this anymore. And finally, we're gonna use the last tab here, 27,019, and run the MongoDB db path, indicate this will run, will save those data inside the 27,019. Will run on port 27,019 also, and the replicaset in this case RS0. Okay, very good. Now we have our three instances running, and it's time to connect on that and initiate our replica set cluster. Okay, so we're gonna use this mongosh here, and as you can see here, we are on 27,017. Okay, connected. Very good. And now it's time to see our status of our replica set. And as you can see here, no replica set configured has been received. Okay, so it's time to initiate it. So the command is pretty much it. rs initiate. Okay, and here we have to pass. First of all, we need to indicate the name of our replica set. In this case, it's rs0. Okay. Here the version, I'm gonna use version 1, and the members, which in this case is an array. Okay, and for each guy here, we have to pass our instance that are running here above. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna pass the ID. Okay, and the rows here. Okay, localhost for the first one, 27,017. Very good. For the second guy, also we're gonna change here for the number 1, host 27,018, and finally host here, localhost 19. Okay, very good. We received an OK, OK one, which means OK through. And well, let's take a look here on this command. So we are initiating our replica set cluster. In this case, the name that we've passed before, RS0, the version 1, and those members here. Okay, so the first guy is this 27,017, the second one is 18 and 19. Okay, now if we type here the status of our replica set, let's expand here, and well, let's check in some information here. Okay, so this first node, 27,017, is a primary, okay, and those secondaries 1, 18, and 19. Very good. And now it's time to connect on the other's instance, okay? So we're gonna use pretty much the same command, mongosh, but this time we have to indicate MongoDB which port we want to connect. In this case, 27,018, okay? Now we are on secondary node. Okay, so let's do the same thing here for the last guy. Okay, so mongosh 27,019. Very good. Both are on secondaries node. Okay, so now it's time to see the replication occurrence, but before we need to write something on our database. Okay, and remember that I've told you that MongoDB always writes on primary node. Okay, so let's return here for this guy primary, and let's create a new database here. And let's create a person collection, insert some values. Okay, so db person dot insert one, and here I will pass my name and my age, for example. Very good. MongoDB returned for us the inserted ID. So if you type here db person dot find, we can find our document here. Okay, very good. But now it's time to see this record here on the secondaries node. Okay, use new database. Okay, database show collections. Oh, sorry, collections. We can see that our collections were replicated here, person. Okay, but remember that I've told you about scalable reads, and we want to improve our performance and read directly from this node. If we do that, for example, db.person find, MongoDB will return for us that we can't do that, and we need to set the read preference. Okay, so we need to type exactly this command here, MongoDB set read pref. Okay, and secondary. Okay, now if we return the same command, we can find our name here. Okay, and for this guy, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, very good, guys. So now let's simulate some disaster on our cluster. Okay, so as you can see here, our primary node continues to be the 27,017 and those 18 and 19. Respectively secondaries. Okay, so let's stop this guy here, this 27,017. Okay, let's wait some seconds until he completely stop it, and now here we can type rs status here. Okay, and for this guy also. Okay, well, our server crashes. We simulate a crash it here. This server is stopped, and now if we type here rs0, we can realize that our new 27,018 now it's a primary node. Okay, and let's check the status here. So our 27,018 continues to be a primary, and this guy 27,019, nothing changed, continues to be the secondaries node. Okay, so very good. Now it's time, for example, to use new database here, and let insert a new name here. Okay, directly from this new guy, because this is the new primary node. Okay, so name, and Henrique and age 20, for example. Very good. We can now type dbperson.find, and we can see those two documents here. Okay. Now it's time to perform some aggregations pipeline on MongoDB Compass. Okay, but before, let's start this guy again. Okay, 27,017. And now let's open the MongoDB Compass, and here we have to pass all those instances. Okay, so the first was 27,017, the second 18, and finally 19. Okay, and here we have to indicate the replica set for our MongoDB Compass, which is in this case is RS0. Okay, well done, guys. So here we have our new database and our person collection with those two documents. Okay, so let's check here. Okay, we are on primaries, so use new database, and now let's insert more than one person here. Okay, so db person dot insert many, and here we have to pass those guys. So first guy will be Jose, age 61, for example, and here name Maria, age 57, for example. Sorry, I forgot to pass the comma here. And very good. Now we have the inserted data IDs here. So db person.find. We can see Ricardo, Enrique, and Maria, and Jose. And here on MongoDB Compass, we have those two guys here. Okay, those four guys here. So let's perform some aggregations pipeline here. So all those stages you can filter it, we can group, we can match. So in this case, we want to return all those guys that has more than 50 years. Okay, so let's use this stage match and type here the query. Okay, the query here will be the name, the field, which is in this case age. We want the age greater than 50 years, for example. So here we have the results, Jose and Maria. Okay, if you want, for example, less than 50, Ricardo and Enrique. Okay, so and here we have the entire text code. Okay, that we can access. We can export it to language. So we want, for example, to use this in Java. We can copy this guy here and put on our application to see the results. Okay. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, please share, like, and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it.